Before my wedding to the crown prince, I caught him in an affair with my concubine-born younger sister. He promised that he would definitely marry her into the Eastern Palace. You're already carrying my child. He is my firstborn, Xiao. I will definitely make our child inherit the throne. You are the crown princess consort I want to marry. I will protect you and make you the most honored woman in the Eastern Palace. The crown prince schemed to make me fall into the water and arranged for an unrelated man to save me. By then, after we had physical contact, I could no longer be the crown princess consort, and he could just take the opportunity to propose to the empress that the sisters should exchange marriages. What a vicious scheme. Since that's how it is, I'll give them what they want. Before falling into the water, I deliberately bumped into the Protector General, Qin Mu. My clothes snagged on his armor, and I fell into the lake with him after being rescued by the Protector General. I knelt before the Empress and cried heartbrokenly. This humble daughter has had physical contact with the general and is no longer fit to be the crown princess. Please, Your Majesty, annul my engagement to the crown prince. The crown prince and my concubine-born younger sister, Xiao, were leaning on each other, unaware that I had heard every word clearly from behind the rockery. Xiao Chen's voice carried a hint of distress. The person I've always admired has been you. If my mother hadn't objected, why would I have gone to ask for your legitimate elder sister's hand in marriage, a noble lady of her kind from a prominent family, all molded from the same template? How could she compare to someone as understanding and endearing as you, Zai? The concubine-born younger sister pressed tightly against him, her words full of dependence and adoration. Your Highness treats me and the child in my belly with such care. Zai is not afraid of being wronged, even if I were only to enter the Eastern Palace as a maid who sweeps the floor. Zai would be willing. Xiao Chen held her tightly, his voice growing lower and lower. Don't worry, I will protect you and make you the most noble woman in the Eastern Palace. I have arranged for the second young master, Li, the illegitimate son of Pingyang Bo, to wait by the lake. As soon as your legitimate elder sister appears, he will push her into the water, and then dive in to save her. When everyone gathers to watch and sees that the two of them have had skin-to-skin contact, how can your elder sister still become the crown princess? If the Empress Dowager wants to win over the Grand Tutor's residence, she will definitely agree to the sisters exchanging marriages, and you will then become the crown princess by right. Behind the rockery, I gritted my teeth. Father had said that Crown Prince Xiao Chen was never a good match, and that my marriage to the Eastern Palace was entirely pushed through by the Empress. In order to consolidate the Crown Prince's position, she wanted to tightly bind our Grand Tutor's residence to the Crown Prince's ship. After the engagement, leveraging the influence of the Grand Tutor's residence, the Crown Prince won over many scholars to build momentum for the Eastern Palace. Yet I never expected that he would show not the slightest gratitude, and that before the wedding he would already have had an affair with his concubine-born younger sister. If word of this got out, would it not be a brutal slap in the face to the Kui family? And for the sake of making his concubine-born younger sister the crown princess, he actually came up with such a vicious scheme to harm me. In this world, a woman's chastity is of the utmost importance. We at least knew each other. Yet he so casually decided my life and death. Thinking of this, I silently stepped back until I reached the lakeside. Miss, the crown prince is truly this ruthless. Let's go back and tell master, said the maid Bu. Indignantly, I replied calmly, don't be anxious, your young lady has her own way. Since the crown prince and my concubine-born younger sister are in love, I'll fulfill their wish. That way, their deep affection won't have been in vain. Because this was a flower-viewing banquet hosted by the Empress, there were clusters of noble ladies strolling by the lakeside, and quite a few young men from distinguished families as well. I stepped out from behind the rockery and saw a man standing by the lake. I froze for a moment. It was General Qin Mu, the protector of the nation. Qin Mu was brave and skilled in battle. Despite his young age, he had already amassed distinguished military achievements. The crown prince had tried several times to win Qin Mu over to his camp, but Qin Mu had never agreed. Remaining neutral all along, I looked at the furtive figure lurking diagonally behind me. The illegitimate son of the Pingyang Marquis's family, along with a servant, was approaching from their angle. From where they stood, they could only see me and not Qin Mu. I smiled faintly and slowly walked toward Qin Mu. Before I had gone far, I was knocked over by the servant who rushed out from behind. I let out a scream and fell forward toward Qin Mu, who had his back to me, my clothes snagged on his armor, and under the force of the impact, he was caught off guard and lost his footing. We tugged against each other and fell into the lake together. Biju screamed, "Someone help, our young lady has fallen into the lake." A cry for help startled everyone by the lakeside, and also startled the crown prince and the concubine-born younger sister behind the rockery. Before the imperial guards in the palace could rush over, Qin Mu had already rescued me ashore. Baizhu took advantage of the fact that no outsiders had arrived yet and tightly wrapped me in a cloak. Xiao stood beside the crown prince, looking at my thoroughly soaked figure in astonishment. "Sister, how did you end up falling into the lake, and this, with an unrelated man as well? What are we to do now?" Seeing second young Master Li staring blankly by the lakeside, she assumed he was the one who had rescued me. Pointing at him, she said, "Now everyone has seen him carry you out. Sister, your reputation is ruined. How can you still marry His Highness the Crown Prince?" Then, turning her face up to look at the Crown Prince, she said, "Your Highness, sister must have been careless. She was surely frightened, otherwise she wouldn't have clung so tightly to a man like that, and even been carried ashore." The Crown Prince heard her words and then looked at me, soaked to the bone, his face turned ashen. "Jiyue, how could you be so careless as to fall into the lake together with an unrelated man? You are the Crown Princess, after all. Now that you've lost your chastity, how can you still be my wife?" By the time the Empress arrived, she had just heard this sentence. She sharply rebuked him. "Chenna, shut up." After hearing the half-sister's words, the young ladies had long since been whispering among themselves, "Good heavens, Kuijiyue was actually rescued by an unrelated man. What are we going to do now?" Right, the grand wedding is about to take place, and she is the Crown Prince's fiancé. How can she ever show her face if word gets out that she was holding another man in her arms? If the Crown Prince doesn't marry her, and she has already had physical contact with another man, wouldn't that ruin her life for good? Since no one saw who had saved me, and after hearing Xiao say that, everyone assumed it was the second young Master Li who had pulled me out. My face was pale. I knelt on the ground and looked up at the Empress, but my expression was resolute. "Your Majesty, I accidentally fell into the water. Fortunately, a kind person rescued me. Since I have had physical contact with another man, I know I am no longer fit to be the Crown Princess. I beg your Majesty to grant my request and annul my marriage to the Crown Prince." The Empress was momentarily at a loss for words. Looking at my appearance, she could tell I had just been fished out of the water. I had indeed broken the strict boundaries between men and women. She frowned in difficulty. The Crown Prince chimed in from the side. "Mother, the Crown Princess is the wife of the heir apparent and will be the mistress of the inner palace in the future. Her reputation must not bear even the slightest blemish. Miss Kui is educated and well-mannered, and surely wouldn't want to tarnish the reputation of the Eastern Palace. Mother might as well grant her request and annul the engagement." She was frightened, so Mother might as well bestow some gifts on her as a sign of comfort. Others will only say that Mother is kind and loving, and will certainly no longer seize on rumors and gossip about Miss Kui's chastity. Every word of the Crown Prince's remarks was veiled and pointed, each sentence implying that I had lost my virtue. The Empress put on a helpless expression. "Jiyue, you know how powerful public opinion can be. It is rare that you understand proper decorum. Very well, the engagement between the Crown Prince and the Kui family is hereby annulled. We'll choose another Crown Princess." I bowed deeply. "Thank you, Your Majesty, for your grace." The moment I knelt down, the corners of my lips lifted. No matter what outsiders said, I had finally broken free from my marriage to the Crown Prince. From now on, I would be free. I could use the excuse of going out for a stroll to travel the vast world I had longed for. Before the smile had even faded from my face, Xiao Chen spoke again. "Mother, young Master Li has the grace of saving Xiao's life, and because of that rescue, they had physical contact. Why doesn't Mother bestow a marriage on him and the eldest young miss of the Kui family? That would count as bringing a match to fruition." I said firmly, Your Highness, I will not marry young Master Li, my half-sister kindly advised. Sister, now that your honor has been lost, marrying young Master Li is already the best way out. You must not be willful, otherwise, who would dare marry a woman whose body has been seen by another man? I looked up at her, who said the one who saved me was young Master Li. When my sister arrived with the crown prince just now, I had already been rescued. You did not see who saved me, yet you insist it was young Master Li. Why is that, or did you know all along that I would fall into the lake, and that young Master Li would jump in to save someone? As soon as the words fell, everyone's gaze toward Xiao and the crown prince changed. That's right, we arrived even earlier than second Miss Kui, and we didn't see anything either. How can she be so certain that it was young Master Li who saved first Miss Kui? Could it be that she had a hand in this? That's hard to say. Legitimate and illegitimate children have never gotten along, and Kui Xiao is by no means a simple-minded person. Xiao Chen's face darkened. Nonsense. Xiao was only concerned about you. When we arrived, the person standing beside you was young Master Li. What else do you have to say? I let out a cold laugh and stood up to look at young Master Li. Young Master Li, was it you who saved me? Young Master Li stammered. Why yes, I was the one who saved you, miss. Baizhu let out a pitui and said, Young Master Li, you really do have quite the nerve. My young lady was not saved by you at all. You said you jumped into the water to save someone, but your clothes are perfectly dry. Tell me, how exactly did you save my young lady? Could it be that you know some kind of magic? You went into the water, yet not even your robe got wet. In truth, everyone may not have been unaware that something was fishy. They simply did not want to offend the crown prince. Young Master Li was neat and tidy, dry as a bone. How could he possibly have been the one who saved her? Do you dare to lie in front of the Empress? Are you tired of living? I barked sharply. Zhiyao stepped forward. Sister, perhaps young Master Li just took the time to change clothes. I know you're upset about losing the crown princess's position, but you still can't treat your lifesaver this way. There's no one else here. Sister, you said someone else saved you, then where is that person? Besides young Master Li, who else could it be? As the legitimate daughter of the Kui family, how can you spout such baseless nonsense? If father finds out, he will surely have you punished by kneeling in the ancestral hall. I looked at her coldly. You framed your own sister, stirred up trouble, and spread rumors. Go back to the Kui residence and accept your punishment yourself. As expected of someone raised by a concubine, do you have grass stuffed in your brain? Xiao Chen held her firmly. Now that no one but young Master Li will marry you, I will have Mother Empress bestow you a marriage. At least it will restore a bit of your dignity. How much longer are you going to be willful? You must know that you can no longer be the crown princess. You said it wasn't young Master Li who saved you, so tell me, who was it that saved you? The one who saved her was me. Qin Mu appeared behind the crowd, with an imperial physician beside him, and he was still wearing his drenched clothes, not yet having changed out of them. Protector General, it was General Qin who saved Miss Kui. Young Master Li is truly shameless. Actually pretending to be Miss Kui's lifesaver, young Master Li was so shamed by the remarks that his face turned red and he kept backing away. Qin Mu knelt down beside them. Your Majesty, when Miss Kui fell into the water, it was my lack of foresight that caused her reputation to suffer. Please, Your Majesty, act as our mediator and grant a marriage between me and Miss Kui. Qin Mu's sudden appearance instantly turned the situation around, and everyone's gaze toward me was filled with envy. The Protector General was a favorite in front of the Emperor. With distinguished military achievements and a spotless reputation, there wasn't even a single concubine in his manor. Ever since he returned to the capital, the threshold of the general's residence had nearly been worn down by matchmakers, yet he had not taken a liking to any of them yet now. Because he had fallen into the water with me, he was asking the Empress to grant us marriage, just after losing the engagement to the Crown Prince, to have the Protector General turn around and propose marriage instead. The noble lady's eyes turned red with envy at this point, since it was the Protector General himself who had come to ask for my hand. The Empress could only nod. Very well, I shall grant a marriage between the two of you. Choose an auspicious date and be wed. Qin Mu helped me up. Miss Kui, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to leave you alone by the lakeside. It's already autumn now, and I was afraid you might catch a chill. I went to find the imperial physician to check your pulse. The imperial physician stood behind us, smiling kindly. I can vouch for that. When the general dragged me over, he was in such a rush that this old man's bones nearly fell apart. I smiled and nodded. Thank you, General, for saving my life. In the blink of an eye, I saw young Master Li trying to run away. So I hurriedly called out to him, Young Master Li, I'd like to ask you something. Who told you to impersonate my savior? I fell into the water just now not because I was careless, but because someone pushed me from behind. If the general had not come to my rescue, I suppose the one discussing a marriage alliance with me now would be young Master Li. By then, as a woman who was rejected by the crown prince and had her engagement called off, and who was also rescued by an unrelated man, I would have no choice but to marry you, young Master Li. Would you say that is so? Qin Mu looked at young Master Li and shouted in a thunderous voice, Will you still not tell the truth? With a thud, young Master Li dropped to his knees, trembling all over. General, Miss Kui, I really didn't mean to. I had no choice either. He looked up at the crown prince and begged, Your Highness, save me. Xiao Chen swept his sleeve. What does this have to do with me? Ji Yao's eyes darted as she said, Young Master Li has always liked the legitimate eldest daughter. Could it be that he was driven by lust and did something wrong? I stepped forward and slapped her hard, cutting her off. Kui Jiao, this slap is your eldest sister warning you to watch your mouth. Don't spout nonsense and bring trouble upon yourself. I know this matter has something to do with you, though I have no solid proof, just from the way you were so certain just now, and how you rushed over saying it was young Master Li who saved me. You can't escape being implicated. Xiao Chen shoved me aside and pulled Ji Yao into his arms, angrily saying, Kui Ji, how dare you? You even dared to push this. Prince's crown princess. Everyone's expression changed drastically. Crown princess? What crown princess? Isn't this absurd? The crown prince is choosing Kui Ji Yao. She's just a concubine-born daughter. The empress's face turned pale. Crown prince? What nonsense are you talking about? Xiao Chen gritted his teeth and led his concubine-born younger sister to kneel before the empress. The one I admire is Jiao. I beg mother to grant us your approval, putting together everything that had happened today. The empress understood perfectly well. She pointed at Xiaoan. You actually cancelled your engagement to the legitimate daughter of the Kui family for the sake of some nonsensical concubine-born girl. How utterly foolish. As the heir apparent of a nation, how can you act based on your personal preferences? If your father knew, he would be deeply disappointed in you. You just broke off your engagement with Miss Kui, and I will not agree to you marrying any daughter of the Kui family, let alone a bastard daughter born to a concubine. This is a slap in the face to the imperial family. If you continue to pester me, I'll have this troublemaking seductress beaten to death. Jiao went pale with fright, swaying as if about to collapse, and fainted straight into the crown prince's arms. I hurriedly screamed, Imperial physician, quickly take a look at my younger sister. Nothing's happened to her, has it? Recently she's often been pale and keeps saying she feels dizzy. Could it be that my sister has some incurable illness? The imperial physician stepped forward to take her pulse, then suddenly changed expression. Second, Miss Kui is pregnant. I covered my mouth and staggered back step by step. No, that's impossible. How could she be pregnant, whose bastard is in her womb? The crown prince shot to his feet. How dare you speak nonsense? The child in Jiao's womb is of royal blood. As soon as he said that, everyone froze, only I laughed inwardly. Good. Their scandal had actually been exposed by themselves. The empress turned pale with anger. Chenna, you are the crown prince. You are not yet married, so how could you do something like this? Until today, your fiancé was still Kui Jie, and yet you got involved with her half-sister. How dare you? With red-rimmed eyes. I looked at Xiao Chen. So that's how it is. I was wondering why someone would suddenly push me into the lake and try to ruin my innocence. It turns out it was all a scheme by your highness to marry Jiao. If your highness likes my sister, why not say so openly? Why must you sacrifice my reputation to fulfill your affair? Jiao is still unmarried. Yet you privately pledged yourselves for life and conceived a child out of wedlock. How can the two of you face me? Xiao slowly came to, and upon hearing this, cried out, Sister, please forgive me. Sister, I had no choice. Since childhood, father has only adored sister, and mother too has had only you in her heart and eyes. It's all because you are the legitimate daughter, while I am merely a concubine-born daughter. Don't blame His Highness for plotting to make you fall into the water. If you want to blame someone, blame Xiao. He did it all for Xiao. Ever since I was little, I've never dared to compete with you for anything, sister. But this time, I really like His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. I want to fight for it this once, whether as the Crown Princess, a side consort, or a concubine. Xiao doesn't mind. I don't need a title. I only beg to be with His Highness. Even if His Highness cannot marry me, I have at least learned of his feelings for me, and Xiao is already content. I can take the child and leave, and from then on I will never come back. Xiao Chen pulled her into his arms. Silly girl, I won't let you go. The two of them put on a moving tragedy before everyone. Qin Mu mocked from the side. Your Highness, regardless of what private affair you have with Miss Kui you cannot simply let this matter rest after you schemed to push my fiancée into the water. She is a woman engaged to you, and you knew full well that if she were rescued by another man, the rumors would kill her. A woman's reputation is of utmost importance. Are you trying to force her to death? If your Highness cannot give Miss Kui an explanation, then I will go before His Majesty and ask him to render a fair judgment. Xiao Chen's face darkened as he glared fiercely at Qin Mu. But Qin Mu remained unmoved, meeting his gaze directly. What does your Highness think? The Empress said sharply. Chenna, apologized to Miss Kui. Xiao Chen gritted his teeth and lowered his head. Jiue, I was wrong, I'm sorry. Fine, if you really want to marry into the Eastern Palace, I'll allow you the position of secondary consort. I won't hold it against you for having had physical intimacy with Qin Mu. That should be enough, shouldn't it? I felt nauseated and stepped back. No need. The Empress has already bestowed a marriage between me and General Qin, so your Highness need not worry. This servant girl is unwell after falling into the water, so I'll take my leave first. With that, I turned and left the palace with my maid without looking back. Back at the residence, father and mother had already learned of what had happened in the palace. Both were furious, their faces dark with anger. Mother smashed the teacup outright. What a shameless thing, to actually steal her legitimate elder sister's marriage, knowing the wedding was only a month away. Kui Xiao still had an affair with the Crown Prince. Come, someone, bind Zhao Yinyang for me and take her to the ancestral hall. Second Miss was led astray by her into such shamelessness that she actually committed something so damaging to the family's honor. How will the Kui family's daughters ever arrange marriages in the future? How will they ever go out and face people? My mother held me and wept bitterly. My poor Yue, to have run into such a heartless, black-hearted person. I dismissed all the servants and quietly told my parents what had happened today. I overheard the Crown Prince and Xiao speaking. I deliberately fell into the water to break off my engagement with the Crown Prince. It was just that the Protector General happened to be by the lake, and he got dragged into it. Mother was still shaken. You child. If the Protector General hadn't been by the lake, what would you have done to get yourself out of it? I smiled. Has mother forgotten? I lived for several years at my maternal grandparents' home in the south when I was little, and I'm an excellent swimmer. Even if that second young Master Li had wanted to jump in to save me, I would already have swum far out of sight. But the Crown Prince was clearly trying to use father, so I took the opportunity to cancel the marriage and cut ties with the Crown Prince's faction as well. My father pondered for a moment. The Crown Prince is hopelessly inept. How could he ever sit securely on the throne? Our Kui family indeed cannot be tied to him, not to mention that His Majesty has become increasingly displeased with him lately. I stood up. The Crown Prince and Xiao have already secretly conceived a child together. Their marriage is practically a done deal, unless... My father and I exchanged a glance and said in unison, unless Kui Xiao is no longer a member of the Kui family. That night, Kui Xiao returned to the estate escorted by the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince gently supported her as she entered the door, and just as they stepped over the threshold, My father let out a thunderous shout, Kui Xiao, kneel. Xiao Chen froze, then hurriedly said, Lord Kui, Xiao is pregnant now and cannot kneel. His father looked at the crown prince and asked, Has His Majesty and Her Majesty in the palace already bestowed a marriage on the crown prince? The crown prince looked away guiltily. The emperor and empress were in a furious rage. How could they possibly issue an edict for him to marry Kui Xiao? His father spoke again, Since the crown prince has no imperial decree, Xiao is still a daughter of my Kui family. I am now dealing with a family matter, so I ask the crown prince not to interfere. Kui Xiao, do you know your mistake? Xiao's eyes were red as she said timidly, Father, I know I was wrong, please. For the crown prince's sake, forgive your daughter this once. Her father said grimly, Forgive you? Do you know how many family rules you have violated? First, you knew full well that the crown prince had an engagement with your elder sister, and that the wedding was imminent, yet you still entangled yourself with him. Second, you are a noble young lady, and our family has always nurtured you with great care, yet you committed the disgraceful act of losing your chastity before marriage. Third, you'll stop at nothing to achieve your goals, even trying to frame your own elder sister so she loses her virtue and is forced to marry a lecher. Every one of these things, if spoken aloud, would be enough to bring shame upon the family. I have already made up my mind. I will send you to the family temple at our ancestral home, where you will spend the rest of your days fasting and reciting the scriptures to atone for your sins. Xiao cried as she knelt and crawled forward. Don't. Father, I am your biological daughter. I just want a good marriage. What is wrong with that? The crown prince and I are in love. The one he loves is me. Xiao Chen stepped forward. Minister Kui, Xiao is my woman, and she is carrying my child. How dare you? Father straightened his body and looked the crown prince in the eye. As long as Kui Xiao is a daughter of the Kui family, she remains under my discipline. Even if I were to end her life with a cup of poison to uphold the honor of the family, that would still be a matter for my Kui family. Xiao Chen's face turned cold. What if Xiao is no longer a daughter of the Kui family? Father said coldly. Unless she personally requests to be removed from the clan register and is no longer a member of the Kui family, I cannot control her. Otherwise, for the sake of the Kui clan's reputation, she must terminate the child in her womb and enter the family temple to pray to Buddha. At that moment, Aunt Zhao rushed in from outside. It was clear at a glance that she had slipped away from the servants guarding her. Her hair was disheveled as she threw herself at the crown prince's feet. Your Highness, please save Xiao, take her away. For the sake of protecting the eldest young lady, the master will surely let Xiao die. Then she clutched Xiao and cried as if they were one weeping heap. Xi Yarrow gritted her teeth and raised her head. Father, since you can't accept me, I will request to be removed from the clan myself. From now on, I will no longer be a member of the Kui family. After speaking, she lifted her head and looked at the crown prince. Your Highness, you will surely be good to Xi Yarrow in the future, won't you? The crown prince helped her up. Rest assured, I will never fail you. Her father gave a stern shout. Kui Xiao, have you thought this through? The emperor and empress have not yet given their approval. If you leave with him today, you will still have no status or standing. Would you really rather betray your family than go with him? Xi Yarrow raised her head, her eyes full of determination. Yes, even without status or recognition, I still want to follow your Highness. I believe he will surely give me an upright and honorable identity. Her father slapped the table. Good. Tomorrow I will call the clan elders over, open the ancestral hall, and strike your name from the registry. From this day on, you will no longer be a daughter of the Kui family. Early the next morning, her father summoned the clan elders, opened the ancestral hall, and removed Kui Yarrow from the Kui family genealogy. Meanwhile, the crown prince had already sent a carriage to wait outside the residence. Xi Yarrow carried a small bundle and left with the crown prince. This news spread throughout the capital in no time. The empress was so furious that she smashed a teacup. Has the crown prince lost his mind? For the sake of some meaningless concubine-born girl, he actually schemed to harm the legitimate daughter of Grand Tutor Kui. Now that the Grand Tutor has driven Kui Xiao out of the family, he still doesn't understand the severity of the matter and has even brought that woman into the eastern palace. After saying that, she gritted her teeth and said, "Go deliver my decree, confer Kui Xiao the rank of siren, and give her the lowest rank in the Eastern Palace. I'd like to see what kind of trouble she can still stir up. It's only one child, would the Eastern Palace be short of heirs?" The imperial decree granting marriage between me and the Guardian General quickly followed. In an instant, I once again became one of the most sought-after noble ladies in the capital, with young ladies and madams coming to visit and build ties in an endless stream. Meanwhile, Qin Mu sent the Duke of Dingwa and his wife to come as elders to present the betrothal gifts. Among the gifts was also a pair of live geese he had personally shot, giving me considerable face. The two families talked happily, and before long the wedding date was set. 3 months later at the betrothal banquet, the noble young ladies were discussing the lively happenings in the capital. Third Miss of the Liu family asked, "Did you all hear about what happened in the Eastern Palace yesterday? It was such a spectacle, so lively." Third Miss's aunt was Imperial Consort Shu in the palace, so a noble young lady immediately asked curiously, "What spectacle?" Miss Liu widened her eyes. "You don't even know? His Royal Highness the Crown Prince was once married before. It turned out that day, in order to show his affection for Kui Xiao, the Crown Prince had specially taken her to the most luxurious shops in the capital to buy jewelry and accessories. Unexpectedly, on the way back to the palace, a woman blocked the Crown Prince's carriage, her eyes brimming with tears as she looked at him. "Xiao Lang, it was so hard for Yue to find you." As soon as she said this, everyone in the crowd watching the excitement was stunned. Someone was actually calling the Crown Prince Xiao Lang. When Xiao Chen saw the woman, he looked utterly shocked. He got out of the carriage and helped her up. "Yu Niang, how did you find your way here?" The woman called Yu Niang picked up a 2-year-old child from beside her and said, "Yu Niang had never wanted to come, but after you left Jiangnan, I discovered that I was pregnant. After giving birth to Rui Ji, his health was poor, and now he is 2 years old and has only just learned to call out to people. Yue couldn't bear to let him grow up without a father's love, and I had no silver to treat his illness, so I had no choice but to come to the capital to look for my husband. Only then did I learn that you are the Crown Prince." When the child saw the Crown Prince, he rushed over and cried out, "Daddy!" Kui Xiao got down from the carriage and sharply scolded, "Your Highness, who are they? Why is he calling you Daddy?" Xiao Chen stammered, and Yu Niang Thud knelt before Ji Yao. "My lady." Yu Niang and the Crown Prince were married in a wedding ceremony back then. Only today did I learn that he is the current Crown Prince. Yu Niang dares not ask for the position of legal wife. I only beg to be allowed to serve by my husband's side. I ask your grace, for the sake of the child, to give Yu Niang and the child a place to stay." Ji Yao screamed, "Impossible. Who knows whether this child is even a bastard? The one in my belly is the Crown Prince's eldest son. Someone, drag this woman and child away." Xiao Chen shielded Yu Niang with a sweep of his arm. "How dare you be disrespectful? They are my wife and child." A few years ago, when I went down to Jiangnan, I happened to meet Yu Niang and was drawn to her Qin skills. I truly promised to spend my life with her, and I also married her in a wedding ceremony. Now she does not ask to be the principal wife, only for a status. Is that not enough? Brother Rui looks so much like me. He must be my flesh and blood. You must not be rude to them, mother and child." Kui Xiao ignored the fact that they were still on the street and shouted, "Xiao Chen, I am your wife. What did you say when you were sweet-talking me back then? You said you would make me the Crown Princess, and that our child would become the future heir. And now what? You secretly already had a wife and even a son. Xiao Chen, if you bring their mother and son into the Eastern Palace, I'll take my child and die in front of you." Saying that, she rushed forward and started tearing at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen slapped her across the face, then shoved her to the ground. "How insolent! I am the Crown Prince of this dynasty, while you are nothing more than a mere caneve. How dare you criticize me? It seems I've been far too good to you all this time, letting you take advantage of me. Guards, take Queen Siren back to the Eastern Palace and confine her there. Without my orders, she is not allowed to leave." The guard stepped forward and dragged Kui Xiao away, while Xiao Chen held Ruya and took Yu Niang onto the carriage back to the Eastern Palace. "I've been busy with the wedding these past 2 days. So I didn't notice this. I didn't expect it to spread through the capital after all the guests had left. Qin Mu stayed behind to speak with me. Looking at me, he said, "The Crown Prince and Kui Xiao actually dared to scheme to harm you. I've already avenged you." Seeing the pleased look on his face, I suddenly thought of what Miss Liu had said today. I asked, "When the Crown Prince was spotted in public by that Yu Niang, was that something you had someone do?" Qin Mu let out a sneer. "I simply had people look into the Crown Prince and found out he'd secretly held a wedding ceremony with a woman in Jiangnan and even fathered a child with her. I sent my trusted aides to tip off Yu Niang. As it chanced, a merchant caravan was bound for the capital, so they accompanied the party for part of the journey. That explains why they arrived in the capital ahead of schedule." I burst out laughing. "From now on, the Eastern Palace is going to be lively." Qin Mu also laughed. "He keeps making mistakes handling state affairs in court. And his inner residence is an even bigger mess. He doesn't have a principal consort, but he does have a whole pile of disorderly women. And I also heard that Prince Jin is about to return to the capital. He recently married Princess Qinghui, the daughter of the Prince of Ruyang, and is now riding high. He's the Crown Prince's formidable rival. If this goes on, even his position as Crown Prince may not remain secure. You are my wife. Of course I must protect you. From now on, you need do nothing at all, just sit back and watch the show." We exchanged a smile, and it seemed the Eastern Palace would know no peace again. Sure enough, the news soon spread throughout the harem that the Crown Prince had hidden his identity, married a commoner in a formal wedding ceremony, and even had a son. When the emperor learned of this, he was furious. The empress knelt on the ground and pleaded for mercy all day long, but the emperor's heart did not soften in the slightest. He smashed a pile of memorials to the floor and said, "An overindulgent mother ruins her son. It's all because of your pampering. Just look at what he's become. For the sake of a mere concubine-born daughter, he schemed against the crown princess and called off the engagement. Now it has been exposed that you secretly took a wife. You wretched son, I ask you, do you still have any sense of shame in your eyes? Do you still care at all about me and your empress mother?" Xiao Chen was struck on the brow, blood streaming down as he answered in a low voice, "Father Emperor, Ruya is your eldest grandson." The emperor clutched his chest and panted heavily. "I don't care for him. Get out of here and kneel outside." Just as the crown prince was about to rise, an inner attendant hurried in, out of breath. "It's bad, Your Highness. Someone from the Eastern Palace says that Queen Siren and the one newly entered into the palace got into a fight, and the imperial grandson was pushed into the lake. The imperial physician says it doesn't look good. Please go and take a look." Xiao Chen hurried back to the Eastern Palace and found it in complete chaos. Yu Niang was holding Rui Ji and crying, while Rui Ji lay on the bed with a pale face. The imperial physician was administering acupuncture, sighing and shaking his head as he did so. This child already had a weak constitution. The lake water was frigid, which has only worsened his condition. Whether he can pull through now depends solely on his fate. Only after Xiao Chen asked around did he learn that the two had been jealous and fighting over his favor. Holding Rui Ji in her arms, Yu Niang said that he was the crown prince's eldest son, and that the crown prince had said he would make him the heir to the throne. Kui Xiao was raging with anger. "You're just a singer, and you dare compete with me. The child in my womb carries both the royal bloodline and the Kui family's blood. How could he possibly compare to the bastard you gave birth to? Who knows whether this Rui Ji of yours is even a bastard? Royal blood must not be muddled, not to mention your lowly status. By then, he may not even be able to be entered into the Jade Register. Otherwise, why has it been 2 days since entering the Eastern Palace? And Her Majesty the Empress still refuses to see you. She simply doesn't want to acknowledge you mother and son. Take your little bastard and get out of the Eastern Palace at once." After speaking, he shoved Rui Ji backward. Rui Ji lost his footing and fell into the lake. By the time he was rescued, he was already on the verge of death. Before dawn the next day, a cry rang out from the Eastern Palace, "My Ruij!" In the end, Ruij could not be saved. He held on through the night, but still died of illness. Yu Niang, holding the child, threw herself into Xiao Chen's arms and cried so heartbreakingly that it tore at the heart. "Husband, You must avenge our child, Xiao Chen said. Don't worry, I have already confined her and will not let her out again, Yuniang cried. But our child is dead, how could confinement alone be enough? I want her to pay with her life, Xiao Chen sighed. Don't make trouble, she's still carrying my flesh and blood, Ruiji is already gone, and I can't let the child in her belly come to harm. Yuniang murmured to herself, my Ruiji is gone, and she still wants to have a child. Xiao Chen, if you won't avenge my child, I will do it myself. Not long after, news spread that Kui Jiao, who was under confinement, had drunk nourishing soup sent from the small kitchen and then suffered severe abdominal pain, with unstoppable bleeding from below, and miscarried. Kui Jiao cried and made a scene. Xiao Chen was furious and ordered a strict investigation, which revealed that Yuniang had put drugs in the tonic soup. Looking at the enraged Xiao Chen, Yuniang said calmly with a smile, "What, does the crown prince want me to pay with my life? She killed my child, shouldn't a life be paid for with a life?" Xiao Chen's face turned ashen, and he collapsed to the ground. In less than half a month, both children in the Eastern Palace were gone. However, before he could grieve for long, someone in the Grand Court meeting submitted a memorial impeaching the Crown Prince for having accepted bribes during an inspection tour in Jiangnan several years ago, selling official posts and titles. The account details were crystal clear, with the proceeds from selling offices amounting to 500,000 taels of silver. The evidence was conclusive, and the emperor flew into a rage. Xiao Chen, as the Crown Prince, you actually committed such a state-shaking crime. You have truly disappointed me beyond measure. The Crown Prince was confined to the Eastern Palace. Half a month later, the decree deposing him came down. The emperor announced to the world that the Crown Prince had failed in conduct and that his virtue was unworthy of his station. He was stripped of his position as heir apparent and demoted to Qingju, forbidden to return to the capital without an imperial summons. The Crown Prince, accompanied by his 2 concubines and a few simple belongings, set off in haste. That day happened to be the day of my grand wedding. His carriage and my bridal sedan brushed past each other, and he lifted the curtain, just in time to see the words Kui family on the welcome banner in the distance. He looked bitterly at my bridal sedan, then turned his gaze viciously toward Jiao. You wretch! If it weren't for you seducing me, then by now my rightful consort would be Jiue, and the Grand Tutor would never ignore my life or death. You are the one who ruined me. Jiue sat in the corner, cowering and too afraid to make a sound. Her life and death were now completely in the hands of the Crown Prince. Even if he was a defeated heir apparent, he was still the emperor's son. Crushing her would be as easy as crushing an ant. Listening to the maid beside me, I looked at Qin Mu leading the way ahead. It seemed he had deliberately led the deposed Crown Prince down this road. However, everything is in the past now. The Kui family has stayed away from the struggle for the throne, and I have also chosen a handsome and talented husband. From now on, living our own lives well is the proper thing to do. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. After 20 years of marriage, Song Qingsha and I have always treated each other with the utmost respect and affection. To the outside world, he rose to the rank of minister, a position equivalent to that of a prime minister. At home, he was considerate and attentive, never taking a concubine, earning him praise from neighbors and friends as an exemplary husband. I always believed I was happy. I have a father who is a merchant guild leader with wealth rivaling nations, and a gentle husband who is devoted to me. Until the day he turned 40, when he suddenly fell gravely ill and fell into a coma. While feeding him medicine at night, I actually heard him murmuring the name of the 3rd princess of the current dynasty. I was struck as if by lightning, and accidentally knocked the medicine bowl against his face. He lingered on his sickbed for another month, beyond the reach of any medicine. After his death, I left the capital of Shengjing and traveled south of the Yangtze River, where I spent nights drifting on painted boats, listening to performers sing. As I listened, I fell asleep. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day before Song Qingsha's palace selection. My father told me that Song Qingsha is an outstanding talent among men, destined to shine brightly in tomorrow's palace selection. It would be wise to secure a marriage contract and tie down such an ideal husband. Of course, I know in my previous life, he was indeed the top scholar personally selected by the emperor, who praised him on the spot, saying, "A man of profound learning, reminiscent of Prime Minister Wei's style." Prime Minister Wei of the former dynasty dedicated himself to governance with diligence, leaving a lasting legacy in history. He was regarded as a good official in the hearts of both the monarch and the people. For the emperor to praise him by comparing him to Prime Minister Wei was truly a sincere appreciation and an intentional elevation. I have been married to Song Qingsha for over 20 years, and I know that after tomorrow, he will transform into the top scholar, and soon after, he will catch the eye of the famously beautiful third princess. In my past life, since we were engaged first and he refused the marriage proposal from the third princess, I thought he had no one else in his heart, but now that I know Song Qingsha likes the third princess, as his kind-hearted and beautiful former wife, I naturally want to help him fulfill his wish. When Song Qingsha was called by my father to stand before me, I was cracking sunflower seeds. The sugar-frosted nuts from our own shop are fragrant and crispy, paired with a pot of tea to cut through the richness, utterly satisfying. Having been a minister's wife for over a decade, I've held up this dignified facade for so long that I truly miss the days before I was married. I moistened my throat with a sip of tea and looked up to size him up. Dressed in a moon-white robe, he had handsome, well-defined features, especially those eyes, deep and cold as distant stars, strikingly beautiful even dressed simply. He carried an air of aloof nobility. In my past life, I took a liking to him at first sight, thinking this handsome scholar looked quite delectable, and immediately agreed to the marriage at that time. Song Qingsha showed neither sorrow nor joy, likely unaware that he would later find someone else to truly move his heart. Master Song hails from Huaixiang, a place of clear waters and green mountains that nurtures beauties. Do you have someone you fancy? Song Qingsha was taken aback. Clearly, he hadn't expected me to be so direct. He only fell silent for a moment before lifting his gaze to look at me. The cold stars seemed to touch the spring water, and at this moment, a hint of a smile appeared in his eyes. Not yet. Having been married to him for 20 years in my past life, I know him all too well. If he says there isn't, then there certainly isn't. So it seems his affection for the third princess must have developed after the palace selection. The most likely occasion would be that flower viewing banquet. Oh, I leaned back in the bamboo chair, my whole body relaxed and languid. Young Master Song is exceptionally talented and brilliant, and with such handsome looks, he is sure to be worthy of the finest young lady in Shengjing someday. As for me, I'm too fond of beauty. I'm afraid I wouldn't make a good wife, so let's just forget it. My father bristled with anger. Song Qingsha was slightly taken aback, as if filled with confusion. I then stood up and left, quietly savoring my triumph. In the Tower of Bright Moon, upon the 10,000 Flowers Terrace, a beauty's song is worth 1,000 gold. Wei Kai raised his wrist to pluck the strings, the bones of his wrist slightly protruding beneath his sleeve. Supporting a delicate, lustrous white dressed in red, his brows and eyes appeared bold and unrestrained. Today's palace selection has left the building quite deserted. I am the only one in the mood to listen to a tune. Noticing me resting my chin in my hand as I watch him, the man slows his strumming slightly. His slender, peach blossom eyes, gentle as spring water, lift to meet my gaze. Miss Zhao, you actually have the heart to listen to me play the tune today. Wei Kai walks toward me and sits down unceremoniously in front of me. I heard that Boss Zhao intends to marry you off to that scholar. The scholar is taking the palace examination today. Aren't you worried, miss? What I in such a hurry for? Whatever rank he achieves has nothing to do with me. Wei Kai clearly didn't believe it, letting out a light snort. A few days ago, you brought him to the pavilion to listen to music. I saw how attentive you were, as if he were the master. I froze awkwardly. You really know how to hit a sore spot. Song Qingsha has grand ambitions in his heart, not something a mere mortal like me can get close to. Wei Kai glanced at me. What, did he reject you? I am not one to demand repayment for a favor, but Song Qingsha is someone who always repays kindness. That's why, in my past life, after he became the top scholar, He made me the glorious wife of the top scholar. Even marriage could be used by him to repay a favor. He often said that my father had recognized his talent and given him opportunities. Without my father, he wouldn't have been able to persist in the imperial examinations and become the top candidate in the provincial exam. Without becoming a provincial graduate, one naturally cannot become the top scholar. Thinking of that resilient figure, I found myself momentarily lost in thought. Having been my husband for 20 years, he treated me with respect and consideration, always attentive. Could that also be a way of repaying kindness? My father merely gave him money, yet he repaid it with 20 years of his life, even going so far as to reject someone he loved for this reason. What a poor little thing. A sour feeling welled up inside me. I had to admit I had been truly careless. The person I shared my pillow with day and night, to whom I gave my sincere heart, actually loved someone else, and I only found out just before he died. Well, he hid it deep. Wei Kai, noticing my low spirits, actually raised his hand to pour the wine himself. His wrist, fair as a bright moon, lifted slightly as he pressed his thumb against the lid of the wine pot, then handed me the cup. I looked at him in surprise and teased, "Oh, so our renowned master Wei, the celebrated musician of Shengjing, has a day when he pours wine for others." He pushed the wine cup into my hand, his brows and eyes revealing a hint of sharpness. "Go drink your wine, you little ingrate." The clear liquor that slid down the throat was the famed Shijing Spring from the moonlit pavilion, exorbitantly priced, each sip akin to swallowing silver. To serve me such expensive wine, you've truly gone out of your way. He offered no reply, silently pouring himself a cup instead. Tipping his head back, he drained it in one go, the lingering wine on his thin lips glistening with a moist sheen. When he looked at me again, Wei Kai's eyes held a heavy, complex emotion, difficult to unravel. He asked me, "In Yangju City, did we truly meet only once?" In the spring of Yangju City, on the Red Medicine Bridge, people came and went, and I once encountered a handsome flower seller. I have always cherished beauty, unwilling to let the spring chill harm him, so I bought his entire basket of peonies. He was exceptionally handsome, with beautiful peach blossom eyes slightly reddened by the wind. His lips trembled as he thanked me. The flower seller had an extremely fair complexion, with lips as red and moist as cherries. Truly lovely. I was in a good mood that day, and having seen such beauty, I told him, "I am the eldest daughter of the Zhao household. Your flowers are lovely. Deliver them to the estate tomorrow." Early the next morning, I saw him again. He was dressed in thin clothes, holding out a basket of flowers to me. Before me was a basket of brightly colored flowers, as if he had gathered the entire spring of Yangju City on the petals. There are even dewdrops that have condensed. The flowers, whether deep or light in color, are arranged in a harmonious and varied pattern. The young man looks at me with a bright smile. "Miss, the flowers are very fresh today." As I get closer, I notice red spots on his snow-white neck and the back of his hand. As if bitten by insects, I gave him money for flowers and a jar of ointment, and for that alone, he was moved to tears of gratitude. From then on, he often brought me flowers. We grew closer day by day, and I learned his name. His name was Wei Kai. Wei Kai was not originally a flower seller. He had studied under Master Ji of Yangju City, and his rendition of Crossing Jiangling was exceptionally beautiful. He handed me a basket of flowers, his coarse cloth clothes making him appear somewhat awkward, yet his striking beauty remained undiminished. I popped a piece of candied fruit into my mouth and asked him, somewhat puzzled, "Master Ji is the most skilled qin player in Yangju. As his disciple, you could also become a qin player." Wei Kai nervously fidgeted with his ill-fitting clothes, his gaze filled with embarrassment. "After Master Ji passed away, ordinary pleasure houses wouldn't hire me, saying I don't play well enough." "How could that be? I heard him play the piano with my own ears. That year at the Yangju Poetry Gathering, he won all the accolades with his piece Crossing Jiangling, even surpassing the verses that the scholars had pondered over with great effort. How could he have fallen into such destitution by now?" My gaze drifted downward, settling on his hands as they held the flower basket. Yet on those slender, pale fingers, there was a long scar that ran across the palm and extended all the way to the wrist, so much so that even holding a flower basket would make his hands tremble. Unable to bear seeing the once radiant young man in such a sorry state, I sought a physician from the estate to treat his hand, but I never asked him how his hand had been injured. Life always has its moments of disappointment. No matter how glorious one appears in public, it cannot stop those with ill intentions. The physician hired at great expense by the mansion truly had remarkable skills. After just 3 days of acupuncture, his trembling hands had steadied. Wei Kai's face was filled with delight, and when he looked at me, his peach blossom eyes shone with an astonishing brilliance. Just like the big yellow dog kept in the courtyard, the beauty is happy, and I am delighted too, never expecting any reward in return. The Spring Breeze Tower in Yangju City was hiring a qin player, and after he played just one piece, the owner decided to hire him. So much so that the other qin players who came after didn't even get a chance to showcase their skills. The owner said that his appearance and qin skills were rare even in Yangju City, making him the top choice without a doubt. Indeed, I am not the only one who pities and adores a beauty. From then on, he became increasingly busy, no longer working as a flower seller, and no longer bringing flowers to me. Wei Kai's reputation grew louder and louder, so much so that even the flower house, which had rarely seen any female visitors, now had many women spending lavishly to show their support. He enjoyed great fame for a time, once becoming the most sought-after gentleman in Yangju City. Yet heaven always seems to oppose perfection. During a banquet outside an elegant pavilion, a lady requested him to play the qin. Midway through the piece, the lady's son struck his head with a jar of wine, knocking him unconscious on the spot. As night deepened, his servant hurriedly came to find me. Upon meeting, he knelt down and begged me to save his master, the qin player. All the medical clinics in the city had closed for the night. I brought along the drowsy physician from the manor and stepped into his somewhat secluded courtyard. He had lost a great deal of blood, his face utterly drained of color. His pale lips trembled unconsciously, murmuring my name, Aji. His voice was as faint as a wisp of breath. The next day, he woke up. He remembered everyone around him clearly, but he had forgotten me alone. His delicate brows slightly furrowed as he looked at me with a hint of suspicion. You look somewhat familiar, miss. Have we met somewhere before? The physician told me that the wine jar had knocked him silly, leaving a blood clot in his head. Once the clot dissipates, perhaps he will remember me. I couldn't care less about that. I was just indulging in the beauty, enjoying the view. As for what lies beneath that pretty face, what does it have to do with me? Once the business in Yangju was settled, I returned to Shengjing. 2 years have passed since then, and I haven't seen Wei Kai again. Yet I always see that face in my midnight dreams. Perhaps it's because such breathtaking beauty is rare in this world. After waking from those dreams, I often sigh to think that such a beauty exists in this world, and what's even more infuriating is that such a beauty does not belong to me. Let me whisper something. If I ever become emperor one day, I might be even more fond of beautiful women than the current emperor. Seeing that I handled the business negotiations in Yangju City so well, my father very confidently handed over several shops in Shengjing City for me to manage: the Moonlight Tower, Zhao's cloth business, and the Rouge shop. The cash flow is all remarkably high. I've been so busy I haven't had a moment to rest, putting in great effort to review and verify all those accounts, dismissing those who needed to be let go and hiring new staff. It was easy enough to find people for other positions, but finding a qin player for the Moonlight Pavilion proved difficult. The Moonlight Pavilion is different from ordinary brothels. The girls there are all pure entertainers, selling their talents but not their bodies. What makes it so highly regarded, aside from the girls' various skills, is a handsome and elegant qin player. Unfortunately, this musician caught the eye of the third princess and was taken into her residence to serve as a court musician. It is said that he earns 20 taels of silver per month, far surpassing the monthly salary offered by the Bright Moon Pavilion. What's even more regrettable is that, unlike Yangju, there are very few in the capital who are skilled in the qin and also possess good looks. But one day, the manager of the Bright Moon Pavilion came to the residence to find me, excitedly saying that an exceptional qin master had arrived. I wondered just how extraordinary it could be, and as I looked outside, I froze in place. No matter how much I racked my brain, I never could have imagined that Wei Kai, the one who had forgotten everyone but me, was standing right before me at this very moment. Compared to the young man who had once been famous throughout Yangju, at this moment, he seemed more like the penniless flower seller of old. It was heartbreaking to see. He held a simple, ancient Qin in his arms, lifting his peach blossom eyes that shimmered with a faint light, and looked toward me. Wei Kai's lips curved slightly, his eyes reflecting a gentle smile. I heard from the steward that Miss Zhao visited Yangju 2 years ago. Seeing you today, it turns out we are old acquaintances. Wei Kai became the new musician at the Bright Moon Pavilion because he was truly exceptionally handsome. Soon, the silver in the pavilion piled higher and higher. Even my father kept praising me, saying, "Our Aji truly has a discerning eye." Picking a god of wealth to bring home, I just smiled, not saying a word. Wei Kai only remembered me as the first person he saw after being rescued, but his memory of the time he sold flowers remained hazy. To this day, it remains the same. Just as now, he might have recalled something, asking me if there were other stories. The spring wine of Shijing is rich and mellow, with a clear liquid. Holding the wine cup, I smiled and asked him in return, "Is what happened between us really that important?" Wei Kai paused for a moment, then nodded firmly. "I can only remember that I seem to have given you flowers," I casually replied. "When I met you, you were an innocent and simple flower seller." Recalling his wind-reddened nose and ears from that time, a wave of tenderness washed over me once more. It's a pity that the Wei Kai of today is an aloof and indifferent Guqin master, no longer that heart-fluttering flower-selling youth. I tilted my head back and drained the wine in my cup, and to the accompaniment of this priceless, rare melody, I eventually drifted into a deep slumber. When I woke again, it was from the heat. Opening my eyes, I found myself lying on an unfamiliar bed, covered by a thick quilt. It took me a long while to gather my senses. Propping myself up, I emerged from the heavy bedding, and the hot water bottle on the bed rolled down with my movement. With a clatter, it woke Wei Kai, who was napping on his side on the long bench outside. The sky had darkened, and the lanterns of the Bright Moon Pavilion had all been extinguished. In the silence, our eyes met. His gaze shimmered lightly as he asked with a smile, "Did the master rest well here today?" His voice, which usually sounded cool and detached, now carried a hint of lingering tenderness. Interwoven with the moonlight, it felt surprisingly gentle. He draped himself in the night's darkness, rose, and came to sit beside me, his cool fingers brushing away the fine sweat from my forehead. "The spring night is cold, and I feared you wouldn't sleep well, so I brought you a winter quilt." Though the candlelight in the room was dim, the eyes of the person before me held a shimmering light, radiant and brilliant. Trapped within the narrow confines of the bed curtains, I could only hear the sound of my own heartbeat growing ever more intense before an answer could be given. Wei Kai spoke again. "Just now, while dozing off, I had a dream. In it, you healed my hand, allowing me to become a true Qin master." Though startled awake, he was acutely aware that it was more than just a dream. It felt so real, as if it were a part of his original memories, memories of the person before him. Lost when his head was struck and injured, I looked at the scar on his hand, which had faded with the passage of time, now leaving only the faintest of marks, a slight flaw on white jade. Yet inexplicably alluring, especially when touched by the warm glow of candlelight, lingering at his fingertips. It made even the breath feel heated. But fragments of the past flashed through my mind. I saw Wei Kai, radiant at the poetry gathering, exchanging smiles with the talented lady of Yangju, his beautiful eyes brimming with tenderness. My heartbeat seemed to have gone silent, gradually settling into calm. A talented scholar and a beautiful lady, a match made in heaven. They were simply perfect for each other. As if sensing my unsettled emotions, Wei Kai lowered his head slightly, his soft lips so close they could almost brush against my forehead. "If the master said today that you wouldn't get involved with Song Qingsha, then could you perhaps get involved with me?" His gaze was scorching, in this moment so beautiful it was almost breathtaking. Yet I had not the slightest inclination to appreciate it. I raised my hand to push him away and got off the bed directly. Freed from the weight of the thick quilt, my mood actually lightened a bit. The Qin master just woke up startled. His mind probably hasn't fully cleared yet. I won't take it seriously. Beauty, one only needs to see with the eyes as for whom his heart truly loves, and whom he holds as his white moonlight, that should never have mattered to me. Yet today, I find myself a little angry. I remember at the Yangju poetry gathering, your music won countless cheers, and Miss Jiang's landscape poetry was equally impressive. You two are a perfect match, both talented and beautiful. I looked directly at him. There's no need to give up your former sweetheart just to repay a favor. Wei Kai was taken aback for a moment, then a faint, almost imperceptible smile crept onto the corner of his lips. Is the master jealous? I responded with a broad smile. How could I be? This world is never short of beauties. I helped you simply because your face pleased me, that's all. The smile on Wei Kai's lips instantly froze. Those eyes, always clear and bright, gradually dimmed. Just like in the previous life, Song Qingsha achieved the top rank in the imperial examination. The spring breeze is at its peak. A white horse treads upon the prosperous capital. In an instant, he transformed from a destitute and downcast scholar into the most sought-after gentleman in the prosperous capital. When my father came looking for me, I was on the second floor of the rouge shop, checking the accounts, the abacus in my hands clattering away. My father was heartbroken. Qingsha has won the top scholar title and received high praise from the emperor, making him extremely popular now. Not securing the marriage that day now makes our family seem like we're reaching too high. I picked up the brush to correct the errors in the account book and casually replied, he is destined to become a high-ranking official in the future. Having a merchant wife like me would only bring him trouble everywhere. Merchants are considered the lowest class, unable to participate in the imperial examinations and often ostracized by noble women from prestigious families. Though it was only verbal, it was still unpleasant to hear. In this second life, rather than fulfilling Song Qingsha's ambitions, I am fulfilling my own. I want to live a carefree and unrestrained life, to wander through a sea of flowers without a single leaf clinging to me, without any attachments, free and easy. It's actually quite nice seeing me in a good mood. My father tentatively asked, didn't you like him a lot before? Don't you like him anymore? I replied. Father should just treat him as a connection. As for the rest, it has nothing to do with us. I had just set down my pen when I looked up and saw Song Qingsha standing at the edge of the staircase. He was almost hidden in the darkness, his blue robe as cold and still as icy water, his expression indistinguishable. Only those deep, pitch-black eyes remained fixed on me, unblinking, as if gazing at me through endless time. For a moment, I wondered if I was seeing the aloof and elegant power minister Song Qingsha from a past life. Not the young man who had just achieved the top rank in the imperial examinations. My father had left at some point, leaving only Song Qingsha and me in a tense standoff, the atmosphere heavy until he spoke, breaking the silence. Aji, have you also returned? His voice sounded somewhat strained, as if it took great effort to speak. I neither denied nor admitted it. What's the point of telling me this now? Long before he lay gravely ill in bed, calling out another's name, the last shreds of marital affection from our past life had already vanished in the blink of an eye. I have never been a woman of great tolerance. I once loved not only Song Qingsha's beauty but also hoped he would remain devoted to me alone. Amid his day-after-day care and tenderness, I truly did, like a naive young girl, once yearn for a love that was mutual, even if our beginning was because he was repaying a favor. But I clearly underestimated Song Qingsha's character. Even if he never truly loved me, he could still be described as deeply affectionate and sincere. I don't resent him. In this relationship, he sacrificed his prime years, while I merely sacrificed some affection and love. To have misplaced trust is simply to have misplaced trust. Just as I missed the blooming of the night blooming Sirius, though regrettable, it is far from heartbreaking to me. It makes no difference at all. His expression was not a pleasant one, perhaps. It was because of my utterly indifferent attitude that a shadowy, inscrutable light flickered in the depths of his eyes. Song Qingsha suddenly strode forward, the hem of his robe rippling like waves. He was completely unlike his usual cold and reserved self, his voice urgent. Aji, we have been married for over 20 years, husband and wife in our past life. How can we act as if nothing happened and pass each other as strangers in this one? I closed the account book and looked at him with Composure, you loved the third princess, calling her name even on your deathbed. Given a second chance, shouldn't you make up for that regret? Rather than entangling yourself with an old flame, why not seek mutual affection and live a fulfilled life this time? Song Qingsha suddenly furrowed his brows tightly, as if trying to discern how much truth lay in my words, yet those dark, phoenix-like eyes remained fixed on me, not straying for a moment. Who did you meet on the day of the palace selection? Uncle said you went to the Bright Moon Tower and didn't return all night. The last 4 words were spoken through gritted teeth, but I found it rather amusing. Unable to hold back, I let out a laugh looking at his handsome face, now darkened with anger. The resentment from my past life, born from knowing his heart belonged to another, completely dissipated. Song Qingsha, I sighed with a laugh, if you're already eating from the bowl, don't keep thinking about the pot, you'll choke to death. Ever since I laid it all out that day, Song Qingsha seemed to have grown a thicker skin. No matter how I subtly mocked him or tried to drive him away, he acted as if he didn't hear a thing. Unless he had official business, he would inevitably stick by my side. The top scholar became the merchant's daughter's little follower thanks to Song Qingsha. For a time, I became even more famous than the top scholar's wife from my previous life who was at the height of her popularity. The Zhao family's shops also became more popular than before. But this wasn't entirely a good thing. The legendary third princess has found me. The princess's residence sent an invitation, asking me to attend a flower viewing banquet 3 days later. The handwriting was gentle and elegant, a script I had seen in my past life. Suddenly, the faded memories of my previous life surged over me like a rising tide, engulfing me completely. This handwriting, I had seen it in a book of political essays that Song Qingsha once cherished most. It was a carefully kept, secretly hidden note, with elegant and lively handwriting that bore a line of verse: fallen petals and flowing water, spring has gone away, when the swallows depart, autumn winds and withered leaves, they too seemed to mimic longing at that time. I asked where this note came from. Song Qingsha was stunned for a long moment, then a gentle, almost tender smile spread across his face. I don't know where this note came from either. Perhaps a colleague casually copied it and slipped it into the wrong book. His tone was light, not feigned in the slightest. Even I find such verses too sentimental to bear. My lady, please don't overthink it. At that time, I was too naive to suspect anything. But looking back now, how could that not be evidence of him concealing his true feelings? After recognizing the princess's handwriting, I found myself far more composed than I had imagined. Fortunately, in this new life, I no longer wish to have any emotional entanglement with Song Qing. He owes my family a debt of gratitude, and he can simply repay it properly in the future. Beyond that, I have no other thoughts. I received the invitation from the princess's residence and immediately threw myself into a flurry of preparations. 3 days passed in a flash. After grooming myself properly, I was ready to attend the banquet at the princess's residence. To my surprise, as soon as I stepped out of my own gate, I saw a luxurious carriage adorned with carved gold and inlaid jade parked right in front. The attendant standing beside it bowed respectfully and said, "Miss Zhao, the esteemed guest requests your presence inside the carriage for a conversation." The exterior of the carriage was already extravagantly opulent, but the interior was even more dazzling, leaving one's eyes overwhelmed and head spinning. Yet, no matter how lavish the decorations, they paled in comparison to the young lady seated gracefully within. Her features were radiant, her small face as fair and luminous as snow. Her eyes shimmered with a captivating light, as if they could speak, drawing one in and making it impossible to resist falling deeper into their gaze. She was dressed in her finest today, with golden hairpins and pearl ornaments adorning her head, exuding an air of noble elegance. She cast a lazy glance at me, her crimson lips parting slightly. "So you are Zhao Aji?" I bowed respectfully. "Yes, your grace, it is I, a humble commoner," seeing that my manners were proper and neither subservient nor arrogant. She gave me another glance and gestured casually. "Take a seat, no need to be so formal." Having lived an extra lifetime, I recognized at once that this was the most beloved youngest daughter of the current emperor and empress, and also the sweetheart of Song Qingsha. Li Mingzhu, bright, radiant, And charming. The rumors were indeed true. At this moment, she was at the height of her glory, with General Qin having won a great victory, repelling the covetous northern army. The third princess was spared from a political marriage. After establishing her own residence outside the palace, she hosted a grand flower viewing banquet, ostensibly to admire the blooms, but in truth, to observe the people. Mingzhu was at the perfect age, and it was indeed time for her to choose a consort. In her previous life, she had taken a liking to Song Qingsha, who had just been named the top scholar, but he refused her on the grounds of a prior engagement. I wonder what it means that she has approached me first in this life. However, I am determined not to follow the same path as my previous life, unchanging and predictable from start to finish. Li Mingzhu fiddled with the hairpin in her hair, her gaze settling on me. I heard that Miss Zhao is quite favored by Mr. Song. What are your thoughts on him? Her posture was relaxed, as if she were merely asking casually. Her nails, painted with red polish, rested against her temple, like a peony in full bloom, magnificent and radiant. But I knew that the third princess must have feelings for Song Qingsha. Today's invitation was merely to sound me out. Mr. Song is an outstanding talent among men. His interactions with the Zhao family were only to repay a debt of gratitude. As for me, I have no feelings for him whatsoever, I answered truthfully. Oh, Li Mingzhu looked at me with a smile, her gaze meaningful. It seems the rumors are nothing more than idle gossip not worth listening to. With your words, I can rest assured. The flower viewing banquet at the princess's estate was, needless to say, a dazzling sight. At a glance, it was a feast for the eyes. The flowers themselves were intoxicating, let alone the array of handsome, elegant, and ethereal beauties. The love of beauty is universal. Even I, who was accustomed to beautiful sights in my past life, cannot help but marvel at the variety of handsome men and the delight they bring to the eyes. This place is truly a fairyland on earth. My seat was very close to the third princess. A maid from the princess's residence told me that Her Highness wished for me to offer her some advice, but I knew that seeking advice was merely a pretense. The real intention was to give me a warning. I had no prior connection with her, let alone being close confidants, so why would she take my advice? I'm afraid the third princess has taken a liking to Song Qingsha and is using this to warn me not to cause trouble. With a quick glance, I noticed quite a few familiar faces in the audience, all sitting upright and proper, their eyes filled with joy as they gazed at the princess, hoping to win her favor. In contrast, Song Qingsha, with his eyes slightly closed amidst the crowd, appeared aloof and solitary, like a proud white crane, his gaze distant and cold. Clearly not one to be confined to a common pond. Even after being reborn, I had to admit that with his talent and appearance, it was only natural for him to catch the princess's favor. He and the princess were indeed a perfect match. I lowered my gaze, only to hear the princess suddenly call out to me with a laugh. I heard that Song Lang and Aji are old acquaintances. What do you think of his character? I replied with a smile. Song Lang is exceptionally talented and noble in character. I heard he has long admired you, princess. Why not let him showcase his abilities? As soon as the words fell, Song Qingsha glanced at me. His eyes were dark, a wave of bewilderment flickering in their depths, as if he were utterly perplexed. What was he so perplexed about? Was it that I could so easily give him away, or was it that I, who had loved him to the core in my past life, could now let him go with such calm indifference? I truly did love him once. He was naturally handsome, and when his cool, clear eyes focused on someone, they seemed to hold a touch of genuine sincerity. He was gentle and tolerant toward me, so over time, I came to believe that we were a perfect match, that our feelings were mutual. I thought his heart was like mine, so I set aside my carefree nature, learned to manage household affairs, took charge of the family's finances, and became an understanding and virtuous wife. Because of love, I gave up so many things. I consider myself a carefree person, unwilling to be bound by anything. Yet in the end, it is this elusive word love that has entangled me in a muddled life with him. Now, having returned to my youth, I face this still handsome face, yet my heart remains utterly unmoved. He composed a poem that was decent but not exceptional. Yet his calligraphy was so exquisite that the princess couldn't put it down. rewarding him with many gifts. "No wonder my father personally selected you as the top scholar. Your calligraphy is truly outstanding." Receiving praise, Song Qingsha slightly curved his lips, clearly in a pleasant mood. "Your Highness flatters me," I watched with a smile, completely detached as I sipped tea and enjoyed the pastries. Yet from beginning to end, Song Qingsha's gaze lingered on me, faint yet unmistakable, afraid I might jump out and disrupt his chance to become a son-in-law of high status. I lowered my eyes to avoid his gaze, but a string of melodious zither notes flowed into my ears. This tune was familiar to me. I had heard it 1,000 times in Yangju City. Crossing the river to Lingling, looking up at the musician seated at the side of the stage, his raven-black attire nearly blending into the surroundings. In the dim and shadowy corner, only his eyes and brows held a captivating charm. It was Wei Kai. I knew he had taken leave from the Bright Moon Pavilion today, but I didn't know he had come to the princess's estate for a private gig. Truly diligent, as if sensing my gaze, his fingers continued to pluck the strings, yet his eyes drifted toward me, the corners of his lips lifting slightly, vivid and bright. As the piece concluded, Li Mingzhu was indeed drawn to look over. The moment she saw Wei Kai, her eyes lit up with admiration. "Is this the renowned Wei Qin from the Moonlight Pavilion?" Seeing is truly believing. Such a rare and exceptional appearance, outshining everyone else here. As soon as these words were spoken, the surroundings fell into a hushed silence, the atmosphere momentarily growing tense. Everyone present held some degree of status, which was why they met the princess's criteria for selecting a husband. Accustomed to thinking highly of themselves, they were visibly displeased at being compared to a musician from a pleasure house. Among them, Song Qingsha's expression was particularly grim. Wei Kai returned the greeting, showing no delight from the praise. "Your Highness flatters me. I dare not accept such praise." Li Mingzhu turned her gaze toward me, the golden hairpin at her temple gleaming brightly, the corners of her lips lifted, and a glint of determination flashed in her eyes. "I recall that the Moonlight Pavilion is a property of the Zhao family. I've taken a liking to this Qin player. Aji, would you be willing to part with her?" Parting with her was naturally something I was reluctant to do. Wei Kai is the star performer of the Bright Moon Pavilion. A single song from him is worth a fortune. With him, the business of the Bright Moon Pavilion can thrive and never decline. If I were to let him go, the revenue of the Bright Moon Pavilion would drop by at least 20%. Merchants value profit and are unwilling to see such a situation, but I couldn't be ungrateful. Li Mingzhu was a princess, a ruler, while I was merely an ordinary merchant. I rose and bowed. "It is his fortune to have caught your Highness's eye. However, this musician is not in my employ. He is merely hired by the Bright Moon Pavilion. If your Highness wishes to engage him, you must ask him personally." The princess's gaze slowly settled on Wei Kai, her beautiful eyes radiating an imposing nobility. "Wei Kai, would you be willing to enter my princess's residence and play the qin for me?" Wei Kai knelt on the ground, his face as fair and flawless as fine jade, his expression calm and composed. "Miss Zhao is a benefactor from my past. Without her, I would have lost my life long ago. I beg your Highness to forgive me." Without waiting for her response, he bowed his head and kowtowed. "Oh," Li Mingzhu waved her hand dismissively, "since you are unwilling, forget it. It seems as though I am forcing you, playing the villain who drives lovers apart." Her meaningful gaze fell upon my face and Wei Kai's. The implication was that Wei Kai and I had an improper relationship. There was no such impropriety, though perhaps there had been a hint of personal bias once or twice, but with time, it had long been forgotten. I have always been free-spirited. Whether a man loves me or not makes no difference to me. I only need to appreciate their beauty, and that is enough. At a flower-viewing banquet, everyone harbored their own thoughts. After being rejected by Wei Kai, the princess was clearly in a poor mood, having lost interest in admiring the flowers. She left halfway through the banquet under the pretext of freshening up. To be honest, I think the princess is essentially the same as me, with no other hobbies, just a fondness for beautiful appearances. Among the noble young men at today's banquet, all were handsome in appearance, but Song Qingsha stood out as the most striking. Yet for some reason in this lifetime, Wei Kai was invited to play the zither. His exceptional looks made others seem rather plain in comparison after the banquet concluded. Wei Kai boarded my carriage. He sat across from me with an air of utter naturalness, as if the carriage were his own. The moment I spoke, it was with a grievance. Does the master's words today mean he doesn't care at all whether I stay or go? I was utterly calm. When it comes to men, what need is there for genuine sincerity? Having lived 2 lifetimes, I know all too well that they love most those who can bring them benefits, or perhaps, regardless of gender, everyone in this world is the same. Though I have hired you at a high price, you are still your own person. Why should I interfere with your choices? Wei Kai bit his lip, as if speaking words buried deep in his heart, his tone urgent. What if I want you to interfere? I looked at him, as if seeing that flower-selling youth from Yangju City in the past. I couldn't bear to see the spring chill harm him. Today, I find myself unable to utter words of reason that might wound him. I can't bring myself to harm a handsome man. I tapped my temple, my tone casual. What are you doing, Wei Lang? I've already said I don't need you to repay any favors. You've earned so much silver for me. Any debt has long been settled. Sometimes I find it amusing, one after another, they approach me, as if all they want is to repay a favor. I know I'm a great philanthropist, but there's no need to remind me constantly. Yet I heard him say, what if I told you I came to Xinjing City just to find you, not to repay a debt of gratitude, to find me? I raised an eyebrow. What for? Running low on silver. After saying this, his expression changed, his features growing urgent with my lack of cooperation. Yet the words that left his mouth remained gentle. I adore you, Aji. He looked at me earnestly, his brows and eyes soft, a faint light flickering in their depths. Though it was clearly not spring, the flowers of Yangju City seemed to bloom that day. I did not respond to Wei Kai, not because I was unwilling, but because I was interrupted by an unexpected guest song. Qingsha stood outside the carriage, his face ashen, dressed in snow-white robes. The lingering glow of the sunset enveloped him, yet it could not dispel the cold aura surrounding him. He looked at me as if he were a betrayed husband gazing at a wife who had sought a lover, his eyes clear and icy. Zhaoji, for the first time, he called me by my full name. When did you become so close with him? His gaze remained unyielding, his words left unfinished, yet I knew what he meant to say. Were you two secretly connected even in a past life? Behind my back? No, Zhaoji, am not a heartless person, nor do I wish to give others false hope. How could I be like him, Song Lang, who on the surface shares a harmonious life with me, yet in his heart yearns for the princess? How can this world tolerate a man's divided heart? Yet I know this cannot be changed. How difficult it is for a woman to live as her true self in this world. Before I could answer, Wei Kai lifted the carriage curtain, his picturesque features slowly relaxed, yet they were filled with provocation. The top scholar is truly more impressive in person than in reputation. You attend the princess's flower-viewing banquet one moment, and the next, you stop my master's carriage, with such a divided heart. Can you properly discuss court affairs? Can you produce fine writings? I wholeheartedly agreed, seeing that I did not stop Wei Kai from speaking of him. Song Qingsha's expression grew darker and darker, yet he did not storm off in anger. Instead, he fixed his gaze on me, his pitch-black eyes chilling to the core. Aji, the past is like a dream, and bygones are bygones. Could we start anew? Start anew, easier said than done. But every time I think of him murmuring someone else's name in his delirious state on the sickbed, I feel utterly disgusted deep down. I replied, if the old affection was false, how can there be any talk of reconciliation? The bronze mirror is already shattered, with no chance of being pieced back together. Not long after that day, I retraced the route from my previous life and revisited Jiangnan. In the water towns of Jiangnan, the performers excel at opera. I chartered a painted boat for the night and hired the 2 most beautiful actors to sing for me. The melody was sorrowful and poignant, their voices soft and beautiful, captivatingly moving. Beneath the white powder and rouge were a pair of strikingly similar, lovely faces. The twins had a tragic life story, evoking pity in anyone who heard it, enough to soften even the hardest of hearts. One of them leaned against my leg, lifting a pair of beautiful eyes to look at me, their gaze shimmering with faint tears. If we could earn your pity, My brother and I would surely serve you with utmost care. There's no need to serve me personally. The Moonlight Pavilion is short of 2 handsome actors skilled in opera. If Wei Kai defects to the princess, we'll need new talents to keep the show going. Before I could respond, the sound of turbulent water outside the painted boat suggested something had fallen in. Splashing about, I walked over and saw a pale, slender hand with old scars. As he strained, the veins on the back of his hand bulged, and his head emerged. His usually smooth, jet-black hair clung tightly to his body. His face was blue from the cold, yet it could not conceal his striking beauty. I crouched down, grasped his hand, and pulled him up with all my strength. Wei Kai was drenched from head to toe, his clothes clinging tightly to his body, revealing broad shoulders and a narrow waist with graceful curves. I asked him, "What brings you here?" He stared fixedly at me, his gaze lingering on the twins behind me. His peach blossom eyes were ablaze with jealousy, burning 3 feet high. "Master." The drenched puppy-like man had teary eyes. "Don't leave me behind. The waters of the spring river are so cold. Will you keep me company?" Fireworks erupted behind him in an instant, grand and dazzling, yet everything seemed to fade into silence before Wei Kai. That youth, who once captured a third of young Zhou's springtime beauty, now stood draped in the cold moonlight, pitifully pleading with me. I couldn't help but laugh at him. "If you knew it was cold, why did you jump in? Were you trying to catch a chill?" Wei Kai obediently shook his head, his tall frame trembling slightly in the wind. "If I don't jump, you might not want me anymore." How could that be? I redeemed the twin performers from their servitude. They were freed from their slave status, becoming clean and honest performers. The Bright Moon Tower became even more popular for a time because of the 2 of them. They mingled among the girls, teaching them to sing tunes with their lilting voices during the day, and setting up a stage to perform operas in the Bright Moon Tower at night. The handsome yet unfamiliar twins truly became widely renowned in Shengjing City. The princess's residence sent people to invite them several times. They would go to perform in full, and return early in full. Within 7 days, Li Mingzhu came to my door to see me, just like our first meeting, exuding an air of noble elegance. "I do not understand why those handsome men by your side are all so loyal to you, never leaving nor abandoning you." I know that Li Mingzhu had sounded out the twins. If they entered the princess's residence, they would surely enjoy a lifetime of wealth and honor, yet the twins risked their lives to refuse. "Your Highness overstates the matter. They are not loyal to me. Having just escaped from that man-eating den and gained my freedom, how could I possibly enter the princess's mansion to serve others with my looks? Then why is that?" I stopped at just the right point. The Bright Moon Tower gave them the opportunity to showcase their talents. "They are repaying my kindness for recognizing their worth." Li Mingzhu smiled. Beneath the layers of disguise and the adornments of gold, jade, pearls, and hairpins, there was still just a girl who could laugh and cry. She praised me, saying, "You have good taste. Next time you come across someone remarkable, let me inquire first." With a bright and radiant smile, the girl joked, "Perhaps they don't want to strive anymore." Before the remarkable person arrived, an imperial decree of marriage arrived first. General Qin achieved a great victory over the Northern Kingdom's army. Upon returning to the capital to receive his rewards, he did not seek gold or high titles, but instead asked for a marriage arrangement. A marriage with the 3rd princess, Li Mingzhu. When the news reached me, I was in my residence, counting on an abacus. The word had already spread far and wide. The emperor's grace was boundless, a hero matched with a beauty I couldn't help but be stunned in her previous life. The princess remained unmarried due to illness, but in this life, she has married the young general who achieved success at an early age. In both lifetimes, Song Qingsha ultimately failed to achieve her heart's desire. One cannot help but sigh with regret. It is said that Li Mingzhu dismissed all her male consorts and grandly took a royal consort. On the day of the grand wedding, with the phoenix crown and red veil, Song Qingsha drowned his sorrows in the tavern, vomiting until the world turned dark. Look at him, saying he wants to mend things with me, yet still unable to let go of the one in his heart, trying to have it both ways. No wonder he can't find true love. Not repeating the same mistakes with him was a wise decision on my part. I never expected that 7 days after the wedding, The third princess would summon me to her residence, claiming it was for tea and casual conversation. Seeing me arrive, she flashed a bright, radiant smile, her complexion glowing with health. Clearly, she was quite satisfied with this consort. Aji, she called me affectionately, as if we were already close confidants. How have you been lately? Noticing my slight bewilderment, she lowered her voice considerably. You are also a reborn person, aren't you? Ever since you didn't get engaged to Song Qing, I knew you had also been reborn. In our previous life, he took the note I wrote to Qin Ju, causing me to miss a lifetime with General Qin. It's good that you didn't marry him. I was utterly shocked. This was completely different from what I had anticipated, but at the flower viewing banquet in our past life, everyone said he refused the princess for the sake of his fiancée. If the princess liked General Qin, why would such rumors spread? Li Mingzhu nodded. At the flower viewing banquet, I placed a handwritten note in a flower basket and had a maid deliver it to Qin Ju. The maid reported to me that Qin Ju refused it, so I set aside my feelings and, following my father's wishes, expressed interest in Song Qingsha. He also declined, citing a prior engagement. From then on, the top scholar's reputation for keeping promises and valuing gratitude spread far and wide, even reaching the emperor's ears, who entrusted him with important responsibilities. Amidst the shock, I suddenly snapped back to reality. Only one possibility slowly took shape in my mind. Song Qingsha took the note that should have gone to Qin Ju and had the maid report back to Li Mingzhu, so Li Mingzhu had no choice but to choose him. He then used his existing engagement to refuse the princess, seeking wealth through danger. Whether it was me or the princess, we were merely tools to boost his reputation. The ironclad proof of this conjecture was tucked inside a book I had stumbled upon in my previous life, a handwritten note in the princess's own script. I murmured softly, fallen petals, flowing water, spring departs, when swallows fly away, autumn winds and withered leaves still mimic longing. Li Mingzhu looked up at me. How do you know? In my past life, I saw that note in his book. It turned out he wasn't repaying my kindness. He was inherently cold-hearted, and only by using every means possible could he keep climbing upward. Anyone was merely a stepping stone for him. Even without me and Li Mingzhu, Song Qingsha was still entrusted with important responsibilities, his official career flourishing, rising swiftly to prominence. He soon became a close confidant of the emperor. He is betrothed to the legitimate daughter of the Minister of Justice. I do not wish for him to live well, yet I cannot help but face reality. With such a mindset focused solely on gain, it is impossible for him not to live well. On the eve of his wedding, I was at the Moonlight Pavilion listening to the twin siblings perform opera. The theater was packed to the brim, and from my seat, I could take in everything at a glance. Just as I was completely engrossed, I saw a slender figure ascend to the second floor and take a seat in the empty spot beside me. Those pitch-black eyes stared at me unblinkingly, his voice hoarse. Aji, tomorrow, I am to be wed. I didn't stop cracking the sunflower seeds. Congratulations, Lord Song. His gaze was heavy, entirely focused on me. Marrying her is a matter of expedience. Once everything is settled, I will take you as my equal wife. All right, I let out a scornful laugh. What a thick skin. Lord Song truly wants it all, both power and silver. I spat a melon seed shell at him. Since when does the world offer so many good things? He didn't seem displeased by my action. Instead, he coaxed gently. When the time comes, you'll be in charge of all matters in the household. I never wronged you in my past life, so trust me in this one. All right, I chuckled softly. Do you know how you died in your past life? He froze for a moment, then shook his head. On your sickbed, you kept calling out someone else's name. In a fit of anger, I poisoned you to make your passing quicker. How about that? Thoughtful, wasn't it? If you provoke me again, you might not live past 40. Song Qingsha looked stunned, and I pressed my advantage with a smile. Do you think you might call out the wrong name in your half-asleep state? I knew he was a man of deep thoughts, suspicious and overthinking. Otherwise, he wouldn't have died so young. In that case, why not add fuel to the fire? In the 7th year of Yongqing, November, Song Qingsha was thrown into prison by his father-in-law. It is said that he suffered from madness, waking from a nightmare in the middle of the night and strangling his sleeping wife beside him. When the rumor reached the Zhao residence, my father sighed and said, "Thank goodness. I didn't force you to marry him back then. I thought he was a dragon among men, but it turns out he's a madman," Wei Kai chimed in from the side. "Exactly, he never looked like a good person from the start." After speaking, he observed my expression carefully. "Aji deserves better, better." I glanced at him with a light laugh. "Are you referring to yourself?" The spring in Shengjing City had long passed. After several rounds of blooming flowers, deep green leaves had grown, welcoming the thick snow of winter. Wei Kai, not too late. I pity that flower I plucked in the city of Yangzhou in my youth, unable to bear the spring chill wounding him. In the 3rd month of the 8th year of Yongqing, I took him home as my husband after hearing the stories above. What are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.